Hello, friends. Have you been scared to move outside of the realm of just buying cards online on eBay
Scary is what that is.
and would like to maybe know more a little bit before you get into the world of auction houses? Well, in this video, I am going to take a deep dive into the world of auction houses,
It sounds useful.
give you facts from their terms and conditions, and even touch on what has become a very hot button topic in the world of shill bidding. So stick around and check it out.
Might as well.
All right, so I have been away for a few weeks again, but it is not out of any form of depression. It is out of an intense research effort. I wanted to comb through all of these different auction houses' terms and conditions with a fine tooth comb and try to not make any mistakes or misrepresentations at all where possible. If I've screwed up anything, feel free to let me know in the comments.
To be more accurate, I understand him.
But I think I have read carefully through all of these sites, and I am talking 15 different auction sites in which they are selling sports cards that might be of interest to you. So let's go ahead and get started. I have put together a presentation to present my findings in a more organized fashion, and let's share some of my insights here. So here we go. So just background information, I am presenting this info from the perspective of the buyer. It's a completely different world if you're going to get into actually consigning your cards with auction houses. And I would highly recommend diving into the rules of that particular auction house before you do that step. But, from the buyer side of things, we're talking about just getting started, just getting signed up with the sites and such. So, that is my perspective on this particular topic here. So I've got an agenda for you here. So why buy from auction houses? Share a little bit of my thoughts there. The players in sports cards. I have come up with a list of 15. If I've missed anybody that is a major player, please let me know in the comments because they're not on my radar right now. So next item, talking about the financial considerations involved that are a little different from what you're used to with eBay. Then we're going to auction closing, logistics, and some integrity concerns. It's been a really hot topic just recently. Came up while I was in the middle of doing this research of shill bidding, and I will share some insight there. And I have my final thoughts. So let's go ahead and move on. So first of all, I didn't make a slide. Oops. Why buy from auction houses? So what got me into it in the first place was I started my shift towards pre-war cards, and I was not finding enough selection of what I was looking for on eBay relative to these cards that are in very low quantities in a lot of cases. And the auction world seems to be the place where these things go more often than not. I have bought a few of my really good pre-war cards on eBay, but those opportunities are few and far between. And so entering this space, I want to be able to find where the cards are. In some of these cases, I am going for cards in which my own appeal version of, authentic or up to a 1 might only be available in a quantity of like 20 instances or less in its entirety. So these are kind of transactions that might not occur every year. They might occur every few years. And so I am trying not to miss my opportunity to land the cards of my choice. And that's why I've entered this world. There's plenty of people that actually use auction houses for post-war cards because they appear many times later in the auction. They're generally organized for the cards where it starts out with the oldest stuff in the early lots. I mean, they start out with the really big stuff, no matter when it's from, at the very beginning. The featured lots will be the first few lots of the auction, but then they go chronologically. So post-war cards can be really late in an auction, and you can actually at times find deals because of it, because they just don't get noticed. So many people, even that end up doing selling a card sale, card shows, will stock up their inventory using these types of cards in auction houses. So you can get cards this way for what would be considered lower than quote unquote comps. So but here are the major players I have found in the space: Brockelman, Clean Sweep, Collector Connection, Collector Investor Auctions, Fanatics Collect, Golden, Heritage, Huggins and Scott, Hunt Auctions, Leland's, Love of the Game, Mile High Card Company, Pristine Auctions, REA, Sterling Sports Auctions. Like I said, if I've missed somebody, please let me know, because they are not currently on my radar. So I would appreciate it. So next. So the financial differences. So eBay, we're all used to eBay. I assume everyone watching this has bought a card from eBay, or at least knows how it works. Uh, with eBay, the price the hammer drops is the price you pay, then plus maybe shipping. In an auction house, it is not the case, where they all have a buyer's premium that can be, depending on the site, anywhere from 15 to 23% added to the final hammer. And that is actually what you pay prior to shipping or tax or whatever. That the hammer price plus the premium, if you're in a taxable state. I have the good fortune of living in Oregon that has zero sales tax, but a taxable amount is going to be for you the hammer plus the premium, and that will be the taxed total. So, um, in many cases, while you're bidding, even though what keeps getting shown in the auction is technically the hammer price pre-premium, when you bid, it'll pop up a window that will say, "Are you sure?" And many of the sites I have found actually show you in that window the hammer plus the buyer premium that you're agreeing to at that moment. So that is the number you want to be cognizant of if you're looking to get something comparable to market conditions, is those two added together. Because what ultimately gets stored in sites like VCP, Card Ladder, Market Movers is the hammer plus the premium, because they look at that as the total cost of the card. And that total value is actually what's becoming the comp, if you will. Um, Besides buyer's premium, there is differences for payment method. You know, eBay, all it needed you to do was sign up, enter a card, and you're ready to go. The most common payment method for these sites is actually direct banking. Uh, all of them allow for transactions where you either mail them a check, have a wire transfer. What I like to use for most of them is Zelle, wherever it's allowed, because my bank does have Zelle as part of my free options. And that's a free, fast method for me to pay for these right away. Uh, there is some limited availability with some of them with credit cards or PayPal, but generally that's accompanied with a fee involved to add to your price. So it's something to consider. And So buyer's premium, I mentioned they range from 15 to 23%. And here is our breakdown. We have got at the very low end Brockelman and Collector Investor Auctions at 15, Pristine Auctions at 17, Collector Connection Hunt Auctions at 17.5. 20% used to be the standard for most of the larger sites, but they've started bumping those up recently. But we still have their Fanatics Collect, Love of the Game, Mile High. 20.5 is Sterling Sports Auctions, which is kind of a smaller site. And I did have a caveat there, because they have a discount then involved with your payment method that I will detail on the next page. But then 22% for Clean Sweep, Golden, Leland's, and Heritage. And then at the top of the food chain, there are 23% for Huggins and Scott and REA. All right. Now, payment method. These ones are banking only, period. You cannot do any other option. And we've got Brockelman, Hunt Auctions, Mile High, Clean Sweep, Leland's, Huggins and Scott, and REA. The only thing they will accept is some form of direct banking transaction. Alternate payment methods, we've got a few sites. So one thing interesting with Collector Connection was that if it is less than $2,000, all options are on the table for no fee. And we're talking credit card, PayPal, uh, ATM, and then all the banking options. their caveat then was if it exceeds $2,000, you have to use the banking style transaction that doesn't cost them anything. So it's one flexibility with that one if you're buying lower cost items for auction house style. But now Sterling Sports Auctions was the one that I had the little asterisk on because they advertise theirs, whereas if you use a banking option to pay, you actually get a 3.5% discount, which knocks down their 20.5% premium down to 17 effectively. Whereas then if you need to do credit card, which would generally be how you're set up through PayPal in many cases. Otherwise, if you're set up for a bank account for PayPal, why wouldn't you use a banking option? So if for whatever reason you're buying cards with a credit card, which I don't recommend unless you're paying it off every month, uh, PayPal is an option with them for then paying the 24.5% premium price. Then we've got Pristine Auctions, does a 2.5% fee for credit card or PayPal. And then we've got credit card options with Fanatics Collect and Heritage, that's at 2.9%. Golden's at 3%, and Collector Investor Auctions is at 3.5%. And then Love of the Game does have a PayPal option, which would be the route if for whatever reason you're needing to do credit cards at 4% of a price adder. So keep those in mind for how you're going to pay. All right. So now auction closing. So with eBay, you're used to the fact that an auction is set to close at a set time. And when it hits that time period, the auction is closed over. And whoever has the highest bid submitted entered, which leads to all the automated sniping programs that exist. Well, in this world, all that's out the window because this is set up. All these sites are set up so that if a bidder keeps bidding, the auction keeps going and going and going until a few of them have in their terms where if it's really late in the night, they reserve the right to just shut things down. But generally, what's going to be happening for all these is they will let them run until there is not competing bids. So with that, there's a few different special rules to keep in mind. Majority of these sites require you to put a pre-existing bid on your lot prior to when they enter what they call extended bidding, which is clearly published time where they say the standard auction ends at this time. That is what they mean. The standard auction period, that cut off, if you don't submit a bid on an item before that, you're done. You cannot bid on that auction item at all. If you have put in a bid, then once you're in extended bidding, then those sites still let you continue bidding on that auction until it is won or lost. There are a few that do not have that as a requirement, that they are free form. They'll let anyone in at any time. And honestly, those ones that to me almost creates an environment where those cards could end up going for more with anyone jumping in at any time. And you really need to be careful not to get caught up in the moment and getting FOMO and paying too much. So, but then there's also differences as far as once extended bidding starts. Some of the sites go immediately into what would be referred to as lot by lot closing, where as soon as you hit the end of that standard period, then every single lot in the auction has individual timers. And if there is not a bid that occurs until that timer elapses, then the card's sold to whoever the leader is. Any bid that occurs during that countdown will then reset the timer to whatever that site's standard interval is. Some cases, it could be anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, site dependent. And there are a handful of sites that actually have a different extended bidding period before lot by lot closing, as in they will say their standard auction closes per se at 8 p.m. And from 8 p.m. till, let's just say, midnight, they will only allow bidders that have bid on those previous items to continue bidding. But then they say in their rules that what it is the entire auction determines whether or not the whole thing closes. As in, if any lot in that entire auction gets a single bid, then we go into the next timer interval whatever their standard interval is during that window, say from 8 to midnight, if their interval is 30 minutes, it would require for there not to be a single bid in that entire auction for that 30-minute window, and then the whole auction would just close. In the current card environment, I don't see that ever happening. Maybe however many years ago when these sites first started, that would actually be a thing, but it's certainly not in the current market climate we're in now. So all they're doing in effect with that window is delaying when lot by lot starts and making it very late for especially those of you on the East Coast. But uh, so to dig into that, those of the sites that do not have any restriction on bidding for that, once we get it extended, is Hunt Auctions, Pristine Auctions, Fanatics Collect, Collector Investor Auctions, and Golden. So those 5 sites, you don't have to pre-bid anytime. Like you might have heard people talk about putting placer bids when an auction first opens. That is just throwing a bid on any item they might be interested in, so they have the opportunity, if they decide later, to be in on extended bidding. Not required with those sites. All these other sites here, pre-bid required: Collector Connection, Brockelman, Mile High Card Company, Leland's, Huggins and Scott, REA, Sterling Sports Auctions, Heritage, Love of the Game, and Clean Sweep all do require that pre-bid in order for you to have a chance to win during extended bidding. I have a little star here on Clean Sweep. They have a unique setup to them in which if you have done 10 pre-bids within any auction, then suddenly the entire auction opens up to you. As in, it's kind of like those ones at the top now where you can bid on anything during extended bidding once you reach that 10 threshold. I've never experimented and tried it, so I don't know if it's visible or obviously visible of how it works, but that's what was in their rules. So then now lot by lot closing. So this first group here on this page are sites that as soon as they go to extended bidding, then they immediately go to lot by lot closing, which means there is no window in which there is just an entire auction and it being delayed to late in the night. These guys are going to end much earlier because the action starts right away with, if no competing bid occurs during the time interval, the lot's closed and it's done. So completely uniquely programmed based compared to any other site is Collector Investor Auctions, as in at 8:50 p.m. on their auction closing night, which I think is Sunday night for all of them, they do monthly auctions. Lot 1 has its first interval, which is 10 minutes long, starting at 8:50, which means if there's no competing bid on lot 1 in those 10 minutes to 9 p.m., it closes right away. And what they do differently, why I only said lot 1, is because then they have the entire rest of the auction staggered by 30 seconds. So lot 2, that technically extended bidding starts at 8:50 and 30 seconds. Lot 3 would be 8:51, and so on down the line, to where I'd highly recommend, if you're following the closing for Collector Investor Auctions, you follow everything on your bid list or watch list, because you gotta pay attention to those windows of when things are going to close. And if it is if the time on your lot is more than 10 minutes, it means it's not an extended bidding yet. And if you haven't put a bid on it, you still can. Well, actually, they were wide open anyway. So, yeah, it's a little wild following that one with the closing. So, very different from the other sites that are just on standard intervals and everything goes to lot by lot at the same time. So, starting down the list, then 10 p.m. all times were Eastern, by the way. We've got Brockelman, Collector Connection, Fanatics Collect, Golden, Hunt Auctions, Leland's, and Pristine Auctions. And then a little bit later for you East Coasters at 11 p.m., we've got Heritage and Mile High. Now, the next page, these are the ones that are a little more delayed and interesting. So we've got extended bidding windows. So this is where it is the entire auction all together. And Huggins and Scott and REA both had longer windows for this previously, but recently shortened them up, which is very favorable, I think, to their East Coast market, to where it is only 1 hour of that. So extended bidding technically starts at 9 p.m., which you have to then have a pre-bid in for both of them. And then just for 1 hour, there is the whole auction technically moving together, and you can possibly make your moves as far as deciding where you're going to go for when lot by lot occurs, which then, so 10 p.m. would be the start of lot by lot closing for them. Now, these other guys, they are looking for night owls, at least for folks that live in the eastern part of the country, because clean sweep, we've got 8 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Sterling is 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Love of the game, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. We are talking that window is the entire auction all together. Only people that have pre-bids can bid, but it requires the entire auction to not get a bid for the whole thing to close. And so lot by lot does not start until 12:30, 1 a.m. and 1 a.m. for those three sites, which, man, that's late. So
I need my beauty sleep. So stop it, okay?
have fun if you like to stay up late. But so now bid intervals, like I said, they can be anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. So at the short end, we've got CIA and Pristine at 10, 15 minutes clean sweep, collector connection, love the game, REA, Sterling, 20 minutes Huggins and Scott and Hunt, 30 minutes is Brockleman, Fanatics Collect, Golden, Heritage, Leland's, and Mile High. So what this means is when you are in lot by lot closing, then that 10-minute interval will start at the start of the lot by lot closing. And if no competing bid happens during that 10 minutes, it closes for the top ones. If a single bid happens at any moment, instantaneously, the timer resets to the full bid interval. So it could be a 10-minute timer and it could count down to 9 minutes left. A bid comes in, it jumps up to 10 minutes. Or it could be a 10-minute timer, it goes all the way down to 10 seconds. A bid comes in, it jumps back to 10 minutes. So one of the things I have found is when you get late with auctions is it feels like some people try to play a game of luring you to go to bed, as in they will wait till those final seconds of that interval before they hit their bid to jump the timer back, because they are luring you to try to go to bed and not be there to bid again against them. Almost, I mean, that's what it feels like to me in watching some of these auctions. So yeah, be prepared if you're not willing to just throw a max bid in there and just say, if it goes more than that, I'm not paying more than that, and walk away. Then be prepared to possibly stay up late to fight for some of these items. Um, so integrity. This is a big topic right now because if you can't trust that bids are open and honest, what do our comps mean? It's out there even with eBay. How easy is it for someone to get a second account and throw erroneous bids on an item on eBay? It's too easy. So it's not just a concern to me for auction houses. There is, a reputation of certain sellers having chilling history. So uh, there's two forms to me that are concerning here. One of which is house bids. Some of the terms actually have it written in there that an item can be put up for a reserve and the house can perform secret bidding if the item is not reached the reserve. So someone places a bid, the house then bumps up a bid and helps get it up to the reserve amount. Even worse, consigner bids. There is actually one of these auction houses that has written in their terms of service that consigner bids are allowed.
Well, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's flabbergasting to me. I cannot believe that is a thing. It's ridiculous, but it's there. So let's dive in a little bit. So house bids, there is no mention in the terms of service regarding house bids for Clean Sweep, REA, Sterling Sports Auctions, Hunt Auctions, or Leland's. So I'm just going to say I don't know that means they take place. I don't know that they don't take place. They don't mention it. There is a lot of wording in some of these terms of services referring to basically falling back on state and federal law, like the law within whatever jurisdiction the auction site wherever they are housed physically. I've seen it where it referencing Pennsylvania state law on some of these sites, or whatever the other states are where some of these sites are located. Um, so if they're going to leave it wide open, it feels questionable why they don't mention it. So, because some have chosen to explicitly mention it. So, and in fact, there are some that explicitly allow house bidding, as in they're claiming it is to bump up prices in order to reach hidden reserves. We're not privy to what these reserves are before, during. So they are in effect creating bidding action on the card mid auction and artificially create an environment where it makes it seem like the card might be even more desired than it should be. It's, to me, sketchy.
It looks a little shady.
Um, Golden Heritage Mile High didn't explain how it's performed. Pristine actually has it where they said it was built into their software that if a bid comes in that has not met the reserve, their system will automatically submit a bid to the next interval, that as long as it's still under the reserve. So they are just automatically bumping it up again, like giving it an extra bid. So I don't know about you. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not. I mean, if there is a reserve on an item, it should just be clearly stated on the site. Why do they have to keep it hidden? Uh, why not just make it be the minimum bid? If they're really forcing the price to get to a certain level, at least show us what the reserve is. Because then, why waste people's time of bidding on an item that if they have no intention of reaching that reserve amount? Uh, I will say that Love of the Game had it where you can do a reserve on their site, and they will, a week before the auction actually closes, once that reserve will become official with them, they will set that as the minimum price on their lots. Why doesn't everybody do that? That's the way it should be done. This other practice is shady.
They suck.
So, all right, consigner bids. To me, this is the house bids were bad enough. Consigner bids, this is crazy to me. So there is no mention explicitly in the terms for Golden, Mile High, Pristine Auctions, Clean Sweep, REA, Sterling, Hunt, or Leland's. So once again, it feels like they are leaning on just references to state and federal law here, and they are not explicitly detailing anything related to their site. So I guess they are basically the mindset of my jurisdiction allows it, I allow it. So I don't like that. Why not just clearly state it? It should never be a thing. But it is a thing. Look at that. Allowed in the terms. Heritage. Heritage explicitly allows consignor bids. They even detail out the fact that if a consignor wins, they are obligated then to pay the buyer's premium to them.
What a load of crap.
And then the card is still not sold, and they can decide to get it back. They can decide to put it in another auction. Yeah, I cannot believe that is a published thing in the terms of service of an auction house. It's mind blowing. It's ridiculous. So the good guys, here we go. House and consignor bids that are explicitly banned. Brockelman, Collector Connection, Fanatics Collect, Huggins and Scott, Love of the Game. These are the only ones that have clear, explicitly written language that bans both of these practices. So as much as I possibly can, I'm going to try to give these guys my business. I mean, that's what it comes down to, because if you don't have integrity in this, you're just screwing us all. And, does it explicitly protect us from the condition of the recent, Dr. Beckett conversation on his podcast? No.
You can't stop them all.
These sites won't necessarily know if these guys are having secret conversations with their friends to bid. They're not privy to those conversations, so they won't know. But at least they are making the effort to explicitly write out that these practices are banned and have no place. If there's, any hint of it, they will be permanently banned from using their site. So at least they are putting that foot forward for some integrity in this hobby, which it appears to be sorely lacking at the moment. So.
It's sad.
So my final thoughts, though, on auctions is at least don't be scared to try. There are cards that you can get out there for reasonable prices, and definitely be aware of the rules of the site you're choosing. Just do a little bit of study, watch my video, whatever you need before you get involved, because you don't want to be on the hook for something that you're not prepared for. And honestly, if a card is being bid unreasonably high, just walk away. It is not a state of manhood to, oh, I'm going to pay more for this card because it's empowering to me. Get caught up in the FOMO. The card will be back again. I mean, maybe in the occasional instances where you're talking about really hard to find items, we don't know what the market is for those today. So maybe those are being high. But if we're talking mass produced, any form of, post-war card, if it's not a oddball, I know lots of people love that term, just walk away if it's too much. And, if you don't like a company policy, the best thing you can do is let your dollars be your voice. I have previously bought a card from Heritage before I knew their full rules. I will admit that.
And the truth shall set you free.
Will I buy from them ever again? Hell to the no. I'm going for some very rare cards. So may I go for some of these sites where they don't explicitly line out their terms? Maybe. I won't say I won't ever, but I definitely want to try to favor these guys that are trying to be on the up and up. So everybody, I hope this video was useful to you.
Well, thanks for wasting my time.
I will see you next time. Bye for now.
Well, see you next time.
Yeah, unless I get lucky and break a leg.